Yo, what is up guys, it's Wodzu here and welcome to another episode of the Beat Grinding in Reaper series, a series of videos in which you'll learn not only how to make beats, but how to do it in Reaper. In today's episode, I'm gonna tell you how can you program melodies using rescales, the scales included in Reaper, and how to install more scales so you can browse through a huge number of scales. So I've created a new MIDI item in my instrument bus, and here is the MIDI editor. And at the bottom you have the key snap feature we were talking about in the first episode about 808s. And here you select the root note. For example, we've selected D sharp, and here are some scales. There is natural minor, melodic minor, harmonic minor, pentatonic, blues, and we have some chords. And what these modes do is, for example, let's select natural minor. You will only be able to make notes that are in this scale, and as you are moving the note is always on the scale. If you are moving around one specific music scale, you can be sure that every sound in the project is in the scale. Okay, but you may or you may not know that there are far more music scales than just minor, major, minor, harmonic, stuff like that. So before we start making a melody for this beat, I'm gonna show you how to install more scales into your Reaper MIDI editor so you can have a bunch of new scales.
Beat grinding in Reaper.
Firstly, you have to download a file I've linked in the description down below. We go back to the MIDI editor, and in scales we click load, which will open a window to load the file. We go to our download destination, which in my case is my desktop, and we load the file. So we've loaded the file, nothing happened. Something happened. In the scales, we now have this huge menu with all the scales, all the stuff, blues scales. And I know this is a lot of scales, and you probably haven't seen most of those names like me personally, but let's choose something more common like Phrygian scale. Sounds just beautiful. I'm not gonna be talking about those scales in particular. Now I've just equipped you with a huge set of scales you can use, and if you select, for example, Phrygian scale, you can use it in all of your MIDI items, and you will always be in Phrygian scale. So your 808s, your melodies, everything will be in Phrygian scale, so you don't have to know how to play these things on the keys, on the piano. You just open the editor, select the scale, and you are in the scale. But our project, as we started it, was in D sharp, natural minor, and that's how we want it to remain. So let's go to this MIDI item we've created, and let's leave it on the D sharp natural minor. So the beat starts like that without the melody. Let's think about melody. You have to play with the sounds. That's the first very basic thing a lot of people don't like to do, because we often get disencouraged because we don't get immediate results. You know, you've put a few notes, oh no, this sounds like trash, and you stop making music. That's not the way, in my opinion. Just try to make something. It doesn't have to be the best melody in the world. Just keep that in scale and try to use your ears. You don't have to use your ears to look for a proper sound, because everything is in the scale, as you already know. Okay, so this MIDI item is 8 bars. So we have like 4 sections. This, the second one, and now I usually copy and paste the first sequence and add it right here. And I like to have the last part different too. That's in the middle, there it goes lower, there is the same thing, and here's the higher thing. So let's have a listen. It's fire. I mean, it's not the best melody in the world. It doesn't have to be, but it fits the vibe. It's a little bit spooky, a little bit, you know, plucky, thanks to the sound that's loaded here, the FM guitarish in Expand 2. We're going to talk about this plugin in a different episode. So the general idea of making a simple 8-bar melody is to get the main pattern and use it somewhere else. So the first and the third pattern right here are the same. Here is something different, here is something different. It could be different. Remember, this is not a rule. You can create a completely different variation. I'm just talking about the simplest way really trap beats are being made, because they are repetitive and they are simple most of the times. Okay, so we have the main melody, but to make things more interesting, we can use the layering. Layering is a technique of taking the same MIDI item which we just created right here and pasting it to another track with another instrument. So let's load another instance of Expand 2 right here, and let's try to blend two sounds together. Let's select something from Soft Leads. This works well. And layering is a never-ending story. You can make that much of layers as your CPU handles. So let's make a third layer, also from Expand. We'll be using Expand only in this episode. And let's, for example, use some bells. Sounds decent. Another layer. So in this fourth layer, we're gonna play with things a little bit, and let's turn off key snap for a while, and let's lower it an octave lower. The reason I am turning off key snap, because sometimes when you are moving notes like an octave higher or an octave lower, some notes go to the wrong place. I don't know why really. Maybe I can do something. Let's turn on the key snap again. And let's go to the plugin itself, and let's load something from Ethnic, for example, Dulcimer, I don't know how do you pronounce it. Let's make louder. You know, the idea is to make the sound richer, to make the sound more interesting, to combine a few sounds together and make something unique, because the number of presets in Expand, for example, which is a rumpler, which means you can't tweak your own sounds in Expand, they are already prepared, but you can endlessly combine those sounds which already exist and create any soundscape you really like. And the sound bank itself in Expand is really big, so the possibilities are pretty huge as for a plugin that costs less than 15 bucks.
Question time!
The question for today is, what is your favorite music scale? If you have one, leave your answers in the comment section down below. In the next episode, we're gonna be talking about Expand 2, this plugin we are using today, and its possibilities. We're gonna dig through different parts of the plugin, and I will just tell you some more features you have in this plugin. My name is Dominik, you've been watching Wodzu Beat, and keep the good vibes alive.